rock and roll exploded onto the scene in the 1950s, shaking the foundations of the music industry and society at large. It was more than just music. It was a movement that captured the hearts and minds of a generation. It was a cultural earthquake that reverberated through every aspect of life. With its roots deeply embedded in blues, country, and gospel, rock and roll was raw, energetic, and rebellious, a true melting pot of American music. It quickly became the anthem of a new generation, challenging societal norms and pushing boundaries. This rebellious spirit seeped into every corner of culture, leaving its mark on art, fashion, and even language in profound ways. From the moment Chuck Berry duck-walked across the stage and Elvis Presley shook his hips, artists found new inspiration and a new way to express themselves. Painters, photographers, filmmakers, and sculptors all felt the electrifying energy of rock and roll. Rock and roll wasn't just a genre, it was a call to action, a rallying cry for change. It urged artists to break free from tradition and embrace new, bold forms of expression. This wasn't just about aesthetics, it was about making a statement. Rock and roll was inherently political, a voice for the voiceless. It gave voice to the marginalized, the disenfranchised, and the rebellious youth, uniting them in a common cause. This social commentary became intertwined with its artistic expressions, creating a powerful narrative. It created a powerful force for change that continues to resonate today, inspiring new generations to challenge the status quo. The raw energy of rock and roll found a natural canvas in the visual arts. This genre of music, with its rebellious spirit and electrifying beats, inspired a whole new wave of creativity among artists. Painters like Jean-Michel Basquiat, inspired by the frenetic rhythms of punk and hip-hop, filled their canvases with vibrant colors and rebellious strokes. Their work was a visual symphony, echoing the chaotic and passionate essence of the music that moved them. Their art pulsed with the same energy as a live concert, capturing the raw emotion and urgency of the music. It was as if the canvas itself was alive, vibrating with the same intensity as the music that inspired it. Photography, too, became a powerful tool for documenting the rock and roll scene. Photographers were able to freeze moments of pure energy and emotion, preserving the spirit of rock and roll for future generations. Photographers like Annie Leibovitz captured iconic images of rock stars. Her work went beyond mere documentation. It was an art form in itself, revealing the personalities and stories behind the music. These images transcended mere portraiture. They became symbols of an era, encapsulating the essence of rock and roll in a single frame. They revealed the vulnerability, power, and charisma of these musicians, further fueling the rock and roll myth. Each photograph was a window into the soul of the artist, capturing moments of raw, unfiltered emotion. Graphic design wasn't immune to rock and roll's influence either. The visual identity of rock music was crafted through bold and innovative album covers. Album covers became iconic works of art. They were not just packaging, but a visual representation of the music and the artist's vision. They captured the essence of the music within. Each cover told a story, setting the stage for the auditory experience that awaited the listener. Think of Andy Warhol's iconic Banana for the Velvet Underground or Roger Dean's surreal landscapes for Yes. These designs became as legendary as the music itself. These visual representations of rock and roll became synonymous with the music itself, further cementing its place in the art world. The fusion of sound and vision created a cultural phenomenon that continues to inspire artists today. Rock and roll has never shied away from controversy. From its inception, the genre has been a platform for social commentary and activism. Artists like Bob Dylan used their music to protest war and injustice, their lyrics becoming anthems for the counterculture movement. Punk rock, with its raw energy and anti-establishment message, took social commentary to a new level. Bands like The Clash and the Sex Pistols challenged social norms, questioned authority, and gave voice to the disillusioned youth. Their music wasn't just entertainment, it was a call to arms. This tradition of social commentary continues today. Artists across genres use their platform to speak out against injustice, raise awareness about social issues, and inspire change. Rock and roll, with its history of rebellion and its ability to connect with audiences on a visceral level, remains a powerful tool for social activism. The energy and rebellion of rock and roll couldn't be confined to music alone. It spilled onto the dance floor, influencing new styles of dance and performance. From the frenetic energy of jitterbug in the 1950s to the mosh pits of punk rock, rock and roll created a new language of movement. This influence extended to the stage as well. Rock concerts became elaborate theatrical productions. David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, with its flamboyant costumes and androgynous persona, blurred the lines between music and performance art. Performance artists like Laurie Anderson incorporated rock instrumentation and performance elements into their work. They explored themes of identity, technology, and social commentary, pushing the boundaries of traditional performance. Rock and roll's influence on dance and performance art blurred the lines between art forms, creating new and exciting hybrids. The energy and rebellious spirit of rock and roll have always translated well to the big screen. From the early days of rock and roll films like Blackboard Jungle to the gritty realism of Sid and Nancy, rock music has been an integral part of cinema. Directors like Martin Scorsese used rock music to create unforgettable cinematic moments. Think of the use of Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones in his concert documentary, The Last Waltz. The song's raw energy perfectly captured the atmosphere of the performance. Rock music has also inspired entire film genres. The punk rock aesthetic, with its DIY ethos and rebellious spirit, gave birth to a wave of independent films in the 1980s. These films, like Repo Man and Suburbia, explored themes of alienation, rebellion, and the search for identity. Rock and roll's influence on cinema continues to this day, with music videos becoming an art form in themselves. Rock and roll has always been about more than just music. It's about identity, belonging, and the power of community. For generations, rock music has provided a soundtrack to life, its anthems uniting people from all walks of life. From the folk gatherings of the 1960s to the mosh pits of punk rock, rock and roll has created spaces for people to come together, share their passions, and forge a sense of belonging. This shared experience transcends geographical boundaries and cultural differences. It creates a global community united by a love of music. This sense of community is particularly important for young people. Rock and roll provides a space to explore their identities, rebel against societal norms, and find their voice. It's a powerful reminder that they are not alone. Rock and roll's influence extends far beyond the realms of music. It has permeated various aspects of culture, leaving an indelible mark on the world of art. It has inspired countless artists across various disciplines who have incorporated its energy, rebellion, and social commentary into their work. From painters to sculptors, the spirit of rock and roll can be seen in their bold and daring creations. David Bowie, for instance, was a master of reinvention, constantly pushing the boundaries of music, fashion, and performance. His ability to transform and adapt made him a true icon in the art world. His Ziggy Stardust persona, a flamboyant and androgynous rock star, became an icon of self-expression and challenged traditional notions of gender and identity. This persona was not just a musical act, but a statement that resonated deeply with many. The Guerrilla Girls, a feminist art collective, utilized the visual language of punk rock, with its bold graphics and provocative slogans to challenge sexism and promote social change. Their work was a direct response to the inequalities they saw in the art world. Their art, often displayed in public spaces, sparked dialogue and challenged viewers to question traditional power structures. By bringing their message to the streets, they ensured it reached a wider audience. These are just a few examples of the countless artists who have been inspired by rock and roll. The genre's influence is vast and varied, touching every corner of the art world. Its influence can be seen in their bold use of color, their willingness to experiment with form and content, and their unwavering commitment to social commentary. Rock and roll continues to inspire and provoke, pushing artists to explore new frontiers and challenge the status quo. Rock and roll's influence on art is not a relic of the past. Its energy continues to reverberate through contemporary art, inspiring new generations of artists to push boundaries and challenge conventions. Contemporary artists like Kara Walker draw inspiration from the raw emotion and social commentary found in blues and rock music. They incorporate these elements into their work to address issues of race, identity, and social justice. Music videos, once a promotional tool for musicians, have evolved into an art form in themselves. Artists like Björk and Radiohead collaborate with visionary directors to create visually stunning and thought-provoking pieces that push the boundaries of storytelling and visual effects. Rock and roll's DIY ethos continues to inspire artists to create their own platforms and challenge the traditional art market. The internet has become a breeding ground for new talent, with musicians and visual artists collaborating and sharing their work directly with audiences. Rock and roll's impact on art is undeniable. It has shattered conventions, fueled movements, and provided a voice for generations. Its influence continues to reverberate through contemporary art, inspiring new forms of expression and challenging traditional boundaries. As technology advances and new art forms emerge, rock and roll's spirit of innovation and rebellion will continue to inspire. Its ability to connect with audiences on a visceral level, to give voice to the marginalized, and to challenge the status quo ensures its enduring legacy in the world of art. Rock and roll is more than just a genre of music. It's a cultural force that will continue to shape and inspire art for generations to come.